Hello, Carl from CWD. I am back at the shed to do part 2 of the 4x2.6 metre pond. This is how far we got last time. We just mapped out which is the strongest way of building it, so we've got that sorted. This pond is going to have a skimmer, which we've got here, so I'll do a little unboxing of that, show you what it is. The skimmer, so the window we're going to put on that side, I believe. No, we'll put the window here, there's more room for me to walk around here. So I might even shift the whole thing that way a bit. It'll just give me space because I put all my offcuts in here, so it might get a bit tight once this is up here. It might be a bit tight. So I'll show you, because we get asked a lot what the skimmers look like. We got told off for my knife safety. I am dragging it towards myself a bit, but I'm being very careful, so do as I say, not as I do. Just to make you happy. Okay, so there's plenty in there protecting this skimmer. This is a 3-inch, so this is going to have, customer's already got an easy pod, so they're just going to shove that on the skimmer. So that with their Nexus, that'll make sure that they're biological and everything, you know, pretty much overdone, which is good. That's what we like to wear. So once you got through all this stuff, then you get to the skimmer. So we will. So this is like the throat. So this bit here, that's where your sleepers will go, and then you just cut 2 sleepers out, and then that sits nicely on top. So inside the skimmer, you've got an outlet there. You can drill another hole if you want to put an overflow in. Nice and easy to do. If you look at the Church Lawton pond build video that I did, I'll show you how to do that there. So this is the like the strainer basket, so that sits in there. And then you've got your lid. It just pops on there like so. And that's what it looks like. Phone's ringing, so you're going to have to go on into that, but we'll be back in a sec. Okay, so skimmer. This is what the finished article looks like. Obviously we're going to take the tape off once it's all been transported, but that comes in handy for, you know, for holding stuff down. So the way that sits, I'll be able to show you. Just carry it over there. So that's sat on 2 sleepers at the moment, and then you build another 2 sleepers either side, and then it's pretty much, because the sleepers are all different sizes, as we keep saying on every video, it ends round about here, but once you get your coping on, your coping's normally higher than this. So just cut your coping, you know, leaving yourself a ½ centimetre gap for expansion and stuff. Same with if you're building your own pond, and if you're cutting your own sleepers, just leave a centimetre or ½ centimetre. As long as it's behind this flange, you're fine. You don't want it touching, because if the wood around it expands and crushes it, it will burst. So you don't want that, because it will cause a leak. So really good little skimmer solution there. We do supply these ourselves. We can do any size inlets, and we could, well, yeah, I suppose it is an inlet, any size outlets, and we can include overflows, and yeah, we can kind of customize them to any shape or size. So if you've got a lathe, if you're laying your sleepers on the edge instead of flat like we have, we can have it customized with a smaller throat. So yeah, anything you need, get in touch, let us know. Okay, so just shifted it over there. That's how far it's going to come out. I've got plenty of room to get out this side. I can put the window here, because when you're building it up, you have to start stepping over the middle, like so, with big sleepers in your hands, and then plop them down. So if you've got your window a bit blocked off by like this or something, makes your life a lot more difficult. So window here is going to have a Nexus at the back, and he's going to have a easy pod sat around here. He's going to have a skimmer there feeding the easy pod, and it's going to return. The skimmer's going to return at the top because the flow rate's slower, and then the Nexus is going to be running a bit faster. That's going to be running in through the bottom kind of third, so about 4 rows up it's going to have an inlet, so that's where the return is going to go for the Nexus, and then another 4 rows up on the 8th row, that's where he's going to have his skimmer return. So it's going to be a 3-inch skimmer going into an easy pod, and then 1.5 inch pipe from a 12,000, well I think it's a 5,500 Oasis he's going to have on this actually. That's going to pump to that side and back this way, and then that's going to kind of give it this kind of flow, and it'll keep all the pipe work just in this area, so it'll look tidy. It'll be nice and easy for him to maintain. Just comes over here, turns his air on, waits 5-10 minutes, then opens his waste valves. So it'll be a nice easy pond for him to maintain. You should spend more time enjoying it than maintaining it. So when you're laying your first course, obviously I've not got the first course yet completed even, just try and lay it square. Obviously this is pivot in the middle because there's a bit of a bump in the concrete, so try and get it so it looks nice and square like that. As you can see, this bit here is sticking out. That just means this is a flat edge. That means that needs knocking in, so just give them a tap back in. Don't screw anything in until you've got the whole 2 courses on. So you don't screw anything in until you've got them on, because you want to measure the diagonals from the outside edge to the outside edge, and same on that. Compare them, and you want them within about 4 centimeters at worst. You can get away with worse, but you know your box liner won't look the greatest. So do it within 4 centimeters. Most do it within 2, but if you're struggling and you have to do it within 4, then that's fine. So I'm going to get these. So these are going to be number 2s. The big sleepers, we don't tend to write the numbers on them because there's normally a lot more of them, and it's obvious that they're a full sleeper. So number 1s, normally we don't bother putting a mark on them, and number 2s we start putting marks on. So these number 2s, I'll need 1 more over here, and that's just a load more number 1s. So I'll need 3 more number 2s, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more number 1s, and then we'll have the 2 courses built up. Let's see where we go up to. Okay, so we have got the first 2 levels done. I'm going to show you what we do to make sure it's square. Take a measure, whack it on the outside corner, so we've not put any screws in yet. Bring it over to this corner. So that's 4, 7, 6, 5. What tape? Supposed to be a fancy new tape to stop me tracting down. Oh, there we go. Whoa. I always get worried it's going to rip my hand off when it does that. 4, 7, 6, 5 that was. This one is 4, 7, 6, 3 roundabout. So that's within a few centimetres. So I'm happy with it. So that's just done by eye as well. You can do it quite easily by eye, because if you've got all the sleepers lined up and all the gaps are quite even, normally it's pretty much square. So yeah, that's how you double check. If it turns out the one, you know, so this is longer, meaning that's been stretched out, what you need to do is start knocking in either end, just sort of squishing it this way. I'm sure there's a better way of explaining that, but yeah, if this length here is longer, that means that those corners need pushing in, or they need pushing out. You can have a slight gap, you can have up to 5mm gap in these, so and that's why we make the liner after, because if you're struggling to get it perfect, then we can get the liner made to whatever size you make it to, so there's no worry that you're going to mess it up really. But yeah, so that's what you do in the first 2 courses. So now I've got this all mapped out, I know what size all the sleepers are. Next thing is the window, which is going to go there. So the first thing that I do is I cut the window ledge, so that's the piece of wood that goes across here, and that the window sits behind it. So the window is going to sit on this piece of wood here. Now this pond is actually supposed to be 6 high at this point, so we're not doing the first 4 levels, because like I said last time, there's no point in me breaking my back. It won't benefit anyone me doing all them. It's just this 3 times. So yeah, I'm going to get the window ledge cut first, and then we start filling in the gaps around either side. I'm not going to tell you exactly how I work out the left and the right, because that's a bit of a trade secret of mine. But yeah, if you want to have a go at that, you know, fill your boots, let me know how you get on with it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I showed you on another video, so you can look back through the previous videos and find out. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is get the window ledge cut. Okay, so we've got the first 2 levels that include the window gap. So what this means is, what we advise you do is get the first 2 levels dry stacked, and you don't screw this in just yet. Leave the window ledge loose, because what you want to do, well, what you don't want to do even, is screw these in, and then try and put your window ledge in and see that you've done it 2 mil too short. So get that dry stacked, get your window ledge, put that in the middle. There'll be a bit of shimmy in to get it central, but don't worry. And then once these bits are in, make sure you're matching up this inside bit here. Don't match up right all the way to here, because the odd sleeper is going to have a slight gap. Our tolerance is 5 mil either end, so you can have a 5 mil gap there, 5 mil gap there. That's just because there's a 10 mil tolerance per sleeper, but we don't like using the sleepers that are really out. But we just have to say that in case you get a really bad batch of sleepers and there's nothing we can do, but we can always talk to you about that. We've never had a pond that's looked bad yet, so we're just doing that just to be cautious. So once you've got all this done, it's just a case of, like I say, match up this bit here and this bit here is what are important. So just think about the outside as your important bit. If you get the odd gap here, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to leak out. There's going to be a liner in there, so it's going to be absolutely fine. So yeah, when you're building this up, you can even use a spirit level just to make sure that the next course is flat, because if this starts bowing in, then I've given you 5 mil left and right gap, because this is 1 centimetre bigger than your window. So I've given you 5 mil, but if you build it off, you know, 10 mil, your window's not going to fit in the gap. You're going to have to unscrew all these. So make sure you build this nice and plumb, and as you're building up, measure the gap on each course to make sure that it matches this, because you don't want that getting smaller than 2 meters. But yeah, I'm probably making it sound a lot worse than it is, but I'm just letting you know the dangers of getting it wrong. I'm going to get, so I've done 2, I need to do another 4 courses, and then I'll have, well, the pond will be finished. I already know how many I need to cut of these. This bottom one, the other course that doesn't include the window, so I'll cut that as well, and then it can all be sent off on a pallet, hopefully delivered next week. Okay, so we're in the final 2 courses of the pond. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 and then 6, and that's the final one. So we need to cut this because the skimmer's going there. So I'll go and grab the skimmer and then I'll be back. So just need to mark out this bit of timber either side and I'll get it cut. I don't have to do a full line, I just need a dot because obviously I've got a sliding miter. So if you're cutting with anything else, circular or whatever, make sure you do a full line. So I normally do a dot either side, then connect to and get the right angle and make sure it's 90 degrees. So you don't want the skimmer too close into the corner like this, because it's going to be a pain to try and get your liner to work and cut things around there. So you've got to give yourself a bit of room. That's what I'd say about that much room. So 8 inches from the inside is about where your first cut wants to be, and then your second one, you just aim for it around it. This is the edge of this wall. You don't want to cut too close, so that's why I normally cut in the middle, and then there's a bit of wiggle room so you can like fine tune it. And then you simply use, once this is built up, you simply use dabs of MS300, push the flange onto that, and then it's not going anywhere, it'll be bomb proof. So that's all you need to do. And then as far as connecting, it's nice and easy. You just glue 3-inch pipe into there, so the pipe will go down and that'll come back up and go into the easy pod. What I'm going to do is just going to push it back. It will tilt because it's a bit back heavy, but I'm just going to push it back. I'm going to do a little dot there, squiggle. That means that this is the waist end, so I know this is going to be the keeper and that's going to be the waist end. Same on this side. Do a little dot there, and then that's my waist. Before we just crack on now, the best thing to do, get the skimmer and make sure it fits. Moment of truth. So there we go. That's behind the flange. That's behind the flange. So nice little gap for the skimmer. So I just need to do one more course of that, and then that'll bring it up to about here, and then it'll be that'll be the finish height of the pond. So now in this area the customer wants 2 returns, so we're going to have one about a third down and one about 2/3 up. So what I'm going to do, these number 2s, I'm just going to cut a gap in them. The way that I'm going to do that, this is an 1.5 inch fitting, so it's all going to run an 1.5 inch pipe. So all I'm going to do, mark either side of this, and then just cut that slither out. So it doesn't matter if it's the full height of the sleeper, but the flange will still be there, and then it'll just need filling with expanding foam or something like that. So I'm going to do that on 2 of these number 2s. Okay, so I've finished the pond. Obviously I've got the bottom bit of the pond to do, but for the purposes of this video, I am finished. So at this stage, you should have already checked that your little flange fits in there and your pipe work in that. You've already checked that your skimmer fits in this hole before you bolt it all down, because you don't want to be doing it twice. Obviously with the first course where the skimmer is, you plop the skimmer in and then you can see that it fits. Then take the skimmer out, because you're likely, because it's back heavy, it might fall out. So until you don't just leave the skimmer sat there for ages, because you risk knocking it over. So we've got the window on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 courses including the window, and then there's going to be 6 courses below, so there's another 4 courses to go. So it's like, it's going to be up here. So it's going to be a decent sized pond. So the way that it works with installing the window, I know we've gone through it thousands of times, but I like to say it each time, this is where your glass sits. So the window ledge, you get instructions with it anyway, but this is for people who are thinking of buying one. So the instructions will say, get the window ledge piece, set it forward out of the pond, matching the thickness of your glass. Now your glass, you can measure it. In this case it's 25.5 mil. You don't have to think about the sealant or anything like that. Just do it at 25 mil, 26 mil. You know, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Don't step it in by 100 mil, because there's no point. You're not going to get any benefit from it. The line's going to be stretching, and yeah, you're just going to probably run into issues. So you do blobs of sealant. The reason that you do that is because an area that was 200 by 200, so it's like if you squared off that bit of wood, it's not scrimping on the sealant. An area that big of sealant gone off for a couple of days held a pallet that weighs 1500 kilograms. All that the sealant on here is doing, when you apply sealant here and then put the glass on, all that's doing is stopping it falling this way. Now you'd have to drop kick it to have it, you know, make any substantial, you know, risk to it falling in. So you've just blob it. The reason that we blob it is if you put a constant bead of sealant all the way around here, rain gets down here, then water's going to sit there. It's potentially going to cause issues with things, you know, premature rotting. So when it comes to actually putting the glass in the pond, use blobs of sealant. You don't have to put loads and loads on. Just put, you know, a blob there, you know, 4 blobs on the upright. It's absolutely fine. 1 at the bottom corner, and then just do a few blobs down here as well. So all you're doing is just holding the glass in until you've then applied the liner to it. You're just kind of making sure the glass is stuck to this. The way that you, well, once the glass is glued in, you can then put your clamps at the top. So you should get some clamps to just hold your glass in while you're fitting it. We do try and source the clamps, and if they're easily available, we do supply them with a kit, but sometimes they're not always available and we can't cancel sending the kits out because of them. So if we've not been able to send them out with you, try and get hold of some clamps, or you can use a bit of wood to brace it if you really want, but then fitting the line is a bit of a pain. So once the glass is in there, you get the underlay in, and then on top of the underlay goes your liner. Now there's a couple of little sharp bits here, so if you can just, anything that you can pull off with your hands, it's not going to go through the underlay because it's softwood, it's not hardwood, so it's not like needles. But it's better to be safe than sorry. Just get rid of any little sharp edges that you can see. If there's any splinters that have come out, sometimes when they load them on the forks, there's a bit of damage to some of the sleepers. So just take away any sharp edges, just make it, you know, as safe as possible. You want it to last as long as you can, don't you? So once the underlay's in, the liner goes in, the way that the liners come is they come rolled up in underlay. So what you need to do is take it out of the underlay. If you can just tear the tape off without cutting, that's better, because if you slip and pierce the liner, you'll probably need a new liner, or you can have a mess about trying to fix it with MS300. But it's best just not doing that. So the length of the pond is where you want to roll your liner out to, because that is what it's made to. So yeah, when you've got your underlay and everything ready, just plop it on the side, roll it out, and then roll it to the other end, and then unfold it, take your shoes off and get in the middle and get pushing it in the bottom corners. And it's a 2-3 man job really, getting the liner in. It only takes you about 10 minutes. Just go around all the bottom corners, then pull the liner up, And the liner is made to your pond. No two ponds are the same. So once you've finished building it, we ask you to measure. So we'll ask for the length, the width and the height. So for the width, the internal measurement, so here to here, if you can measure top and bottom, that's perfect. Just because some customers build it like this, the floor bows out or the floor's in, we just want to make sure the line is going to fit. Same with the length, internal, and measure both sides, and then we'll make it to the longest measurement. So if it's 2 centimeters longer on that side than it is this, it's not the end of the world. We'll just make it to the biggest measurement. For your corners, when you're measuring your depth, just drop your tape to the floor and measure all the way to the top. Don't put too much of a slope going down to the middle of the pond. You don't really need it. You know, I'd do maximum of 50 mil, 100 mil at most, really. If you've got a bottom drain, try and have your floor as flat as possible. If you've got enough bottom drains, it won't matter where all the sloping is. So measure each corner for the depth and give us the biggest measurement again. That just makes sure if this is like 5 centimeters bigger or 10 centimeters bigger, that we can ensure that the line is going to fit and it's not stretching in this corner because that one's higher up or anything like that. What else have we got? So before you start fitting your glass, actually, like I said before, you should have done this throughout anyway, but I know some customers don't. You want to measure your window gap. Make sure that it'll fit your glass. So you want to measure at the top. It'll help if you open the tape measure enough. It'll measure the top. So I can see that that'll take a 2 metre piece of glass with, yeah, so I've done it absolutely perfect. I'm good at building these ponds, aren't I? So yeah, 201 centimetres is how long that bit of wood is down there. And just building it by eye, this is how easy it is. I know I've built loads of them, but I've just built it by eye, keeping it up because the cuts are all 90 degrees. So if you keep it flush on the cuts all the way up, it's dead easy to do. It's not, it's not hard at all. So I've managed to do it plumb without going off, veering off at all, just by eye. And none of this is screwed together. So, so it's a bit rocky, it's a bit harder to do like this. So if you see little gaps like this, like I said before, it's not a problem. It's, there's a liner going in it. Like this, even if you did have that, that's like that because I've not screwed it in the other side. I can kick that in and make it all perfect, but it doesn't need to be. Just match up your outside corners, get them looking as good as you can, and that's what you want to focus on. It doesn't matter if it looks like a pig's ear in the middle, on the inside of the pond, because you're never going to see that. There's going to be a liner and underlay over that, so you're never going to see it. So don't stress out about the inside. That's going to have a liner. So yeah, match out your corners. That's what you should be fussed about. And then for returns, you need to get a flange tank connector. So it's basically a hole with a flange around it, and you can screw it on, or you can just use sealant. I just use the sealant because I love using MS300 because it's so amazing. Stick your stuff on there, have your pipe coming out the other end, and then you can just go wherever you want to. So this pond will have a return about 2/3 up and a return about 1/3 up from the bottom. So that'll keep things moving around the bottom. At the top is going to have air coming up, agitating everything at the top. You're going to have a skimmer taking stuff off the surface over there, and you're going to have the water being pushed this way, so that should help stuff get into the skimmer as well.